Sort of. My research into the Magdalene Laundries actually took me down a really interesting rabbit hole. I'm writing a musical about women who went down in history for being uncontrollable, and I thought it would be cool to write a song from the perspective of a girl at a Magdalene laundry. If you're not sure what that is, just click on this comment to go to the original video. However, after I made that video, I decided I wanted to focus on only specific, real, historical women as opposed to generic or anonymous women. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any historical women who had been to a Magdalene laundry who were not, like, very recent. However, that led me down this rabbit hole to discover this super creepy place, La Salpêtrière. La Salpêtrière was a French prison/hospital with a very disturbing history that had a lot of parallels to the Magdalene laundries. It became a place to confine poor, sick, mentally ill, and undesirable, quote-unquote, women, including beggars, ass workers, and those deemed insane. In the 19th century, it gained prominence as a center for neurological research under Dr. Jean-Martin Charcot, whose public demonstrations of hysterical female patients attracted widespread attention and influenced the early work of Sigmund Freud. That led me to discover this girl, Louise Augustine Gleizes, and as soon as I found her, I was like, yes, you're in my show. Augustine, or Patient A, as she was called in the medical literature, was a hysteria patient, but not the funny kind you hear about. The whole topic is actually not funny and super disturbing, but I'll save that for another video, maybe. Augustine's hysteria looked more like epileptic episodes mixed with demonic possession, mixed with some self-love. Augustine was one of these female hysteria patients that would be hypnotized into performing her attacks in front of an audience of male physicians, and she became the most famous hysteria patient of the day due to her uncanny ability to command the camera. And based on these photographs, I have to ask, how in control was she actually? She seems kind of in control. Augustine had been sexually active since she was a young teen, and from her own accounts, it seems to have been consensual. At the same time, she was also raped by her mother's lover and employer, a man she referred to as just Mr. C. And eventually, she fought him off with a knife, after which she ended up self-admitted to La Salpêtrière, a very interesting series of events. So not only was I very happy to find Augustine a real historical figure who was so fascinating, so interesting, and she really fits in with all the other women in the show, I felt like it was also doing justice in a way to the women at the Magdalene laundries because these two places really overlapped. Both extracted free labor from these women, and both institutions targeted women not for what they'd done, but for really who they were perceived to be. Too sexual, too poor, too loud, too unruly. Both places served to remove these girls from mainstream society, in part to protect the men who had assaulted them. And lastly, both places pathologized female sexuality and treated it as a problem to be solved. One from a religious perspective and one from a medical perspective. So let me know if you have any questions about Augustine. The song is very unconventional and unlike anything I've ever written, but I wanted to do her justice, and I didn't want to just slap a regular musical theater song on top of her story because I really didn't feel like it fit. It dramatizes the first time she's put in a solitary confinement cell after she finally refuses just to continue performing for these lecture halls. And she's put in this cell as a way to punish her. And it really dives into her psychological state while she is in there. So stay tuned for more, and if this all sounds interesting to you, feel free to follow along with this page and watch me take this musical from page to stage. I have just about finished writing it, and I'll give more updates on that soon.